Hopefully that wasn't on there. No, that is not. Tom, that does not make the podcast.
I think we should. We don't cut anything out.
Look at. You didn't say
I think Jared's getting red. Look how red he's getting.
Staff. That's what we're gonna do. Okay, if that makes the podcast. We're cutting staff.
So funny.
What's up, everybody? Jared James here. Welcome to this episode of Today with Jared James. I thought you were going to have the dog on you when this all started. The whole thing, you were trying to make it look like he chose you.
Teddy.
But we all know he was actually sitting with me.
Oh, yes. He just loves Mommy.
What's up, everybody? So we're doing this podcast. We are 2 days post-election. Oh,
that happened already? Just kidding.
Guys,
everyone's gonna throw tomatoes at me. Calm down, people. Calm down.
Linda's one of the least political people I know. It's actually one of the things I love about her.
Which is also finish.
No, go ahead.
Which also I'm pretty sure you don't like, because we really can't have conversations. I'm like, it
doesn't bother me. I don't mind at all. I think it's nice. Although I did do a thorough explanation the other day of the difference between the Electoral College and the popular vote and why there's an Electoral College. And then right when you and I were done with that conversation, I then came home to the exact same question from my kids. What's the difference? Why is this? Why is that? Whatever. So that was very interesting. But yeah, anyway, so we have a lot to talk about today. Anything been going on with you before we get going there?
No, nothing really interesting. I had to think about it. No.
That's what you call good podcast talk, guys.
You guys, I'm so
anything going
sorry.
on? Nah, I'm good.
I mean, let's be real. We're going to have a really good podcast. There's so many things to talk about. But like as far as life back home in California, it's the same. Life's the same. I did travel post the next day after election. And I was telling you, I said, something's going on here because every flight's delayed. Like things were just not going right.
You have a theory that you, especially living in California, that like people get so upset they just don't show up to work.
Oh, I mean, it's not a theory; it's a thing. Okay, let's be real. You hurt my feeling today. I'm not going in. Yeah. That's how it is.
No, there is a lot of that in California.
There's a lot of that. Okay, that's no theory.
It's actually reality. So that did happen.
And so I'm like, that did happen. No one showed up for American Airlines. I'm like, oh my gosh.
For American
Did they get
Airlines.
their feelings hurt? I was like, are we in trouble right now? Like, did you not want to come to work because
that's all
of
great,
whatever?
But I need to get across the country.
Like we talked about this a couple weeks ago about, what was it? You had a situation at an airport. It's always Starbucks. And there was a guy that was very, very nice to you just recently at Starbucks.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you would think people working, especially at an airport.
It should be the norm, not stand out.
What?
It should be the norm. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Isn't that sad?
The guy messed up my drink, and I legit didn't care just because he was so nice.
I know, and he apologized. But you also need to understand.
We've gotten so used to people being in service jobs and not being friendly. It's almost become the norm now.
That's funny that you say that, though.
And you're like, so you almost make an excuse for it. And when someone actually is nice, you're like, oh my God.
You remember that? Like,
how do I hire that person?
But
like, I didn't know that still existed.
I know. And so you mentioned something about how nice it was, and I was on the phone with you. I was like, oh wow,
the guy was like, I don't remember what happened. I don't know if I told him that it was made wrong.
Yeah, it was made wrong. He's like, I'm so sorry. You should get what you ordered. And
I was like, it's no big deal. And he's like, no, you should get what you ordered.
Yeah.
Whatever. And in my head, I'm thinking, it's $78 a cup. You bet I should. But
we talk about this, especially in the
airport. Are you on? Are you actually on?
I'm here.
Tom.
Oh, what's up, Tom?
Hey, how you doing?
There you go.
Hi, Tom.
It's a good thing we don't have a camera on Tom right now.
Sweating profusely.
Tom is representing, what's the appropriate term? The unhomed?
Yes.
Is that the appropriate term in today's world?
These are clean. So
the unhomed.
These are clean. These are all good.
He's representing the unhomed.
No, but I was saying, though, the whole airport thing, it's... Actually, I don't even know what I was saying. This is what happens. You interrupt me, and I'm like,
You were saying how it should be the norm, but we just
Okay, when people are traveling, you have no idea. You have no idea, like if they're trying to catch a flight, they've been delayed 3 times. Their flight got canceled. They're going to a funeral. They're going to a job promotion. They're moving. Whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
Airport or not.
Yeah.
It's like
they're naturally stressed. They're traveling.
Yeah, especially at an airport. No one's there like, oh, I love it.
Yeah.
Like minus children.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But like you have to be on. If you're working there, you have to be on because
that's
these
not the norm.
people really, I know.
Yeah.
And so like when I showed up yesterday at the airport and the sign says that the attendant will be there 2 hours prior to the first departure and no one's there and it's 45 minutes before my
That's
plane
right.
leaves.
You're kind of freaking out because your thing
I
got
was
delayed.
just like-
We found new flights for you. Then they moved you off the flight that we wanted to stay on without even telling
like,
you.
I mean,
and then
I'm
you're
just
like,
saying
no,
for,
I
like,
want to be on my
jobs-
flight. And they're like, sorry, your seat's been given away.
Jobs like this where it's extremely stressful, like show up to work.
Yeah.
Like just show up.
Yeah. And I had to drive to New Jersey to get
And
you.
so, I mean, anyways, yeah, you did.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, yeah, traveling post like election, literally
The
the
next
next day, you never know.
Yeah.
You never know, like, especially in California. Sorry,
interesting.
People's feelings are hurt. They don't show up. They don't do anything.
Especially in California.
I mean, I had employees that did that previously.
Oh,
I
God.
mean, you don't want to hurt anyone's feelings.
The world is over. Everybody gets all crazy, and then they realize, no, it's just more of the same.
I feel like right now, post-election, okay, like you mentioned earlier, I am not someone to talk politics, but literally, I just want to like delete my social media.
I know you
for
said
a
it to me
month,
earlier. I know.
because you got a lot of these people out here.
You
I'm
crack
sorry.
me up because you'll actually
just-
ask me, like, this person's saying this, like, is that reality? Is that real? And I'm like, no,
Are
they're
people
just
really,
butthurt.
But
Like,
there's
they're
some people
just
that are screaming and irate. People are so happy. I mean, I understand both sides. Super happy.
By the way,
super
same thing
upset.
happened. Same thing happened when Biden won.
Yeah, happy and upset.
Yeah.
Just keep it to yourself, really. Like honestly,
Yeah.
it's so now it's like, oh my god, it's so annoying that I won't unfriend them because I don't want them to think that I hate them.
No, but now you
I
can now
will
you can
mute
silence
them.
people. I was gonna say
I
now
will
you can
mute
now
them,
you can mute people.
and I'm done because it's like really.
Did you see?
The
Did
best
you,
thing to happen to social media is unfollow or mute or
the
whatever
mute?
that
You don't
is.
even have
Oh,
to.
it's
You don't even
so
have to
good.
defriend anybody. Now you
Yeah.
could just mute
I'm
them.
just gonna mute them, but like it really seriously, and this whole like political stuff, it's like oh,
Yeah.
like it's almost like going through a divorce and seeing one
Yeah.
side and the other side. You're like, oh, that's really I don't like that about you.
Yeah. Well, I told
It's really
you, like,
ugly.
my
It's a
my
little too
feed is
much.
filled right now with people saying that, great, now my daughter won't have the rights and whatever. And I'm just going, that Supreme Court decision was from the Supreme Court to go to the states for abortion. And that was happening no matter who was president. It has nothing to do with it. And like you see people who are clearly very involved, but clearly don't actually understand like what's actually going on.
Yeah.
And the truth of the matter is, and this is like I've always said to you forever, like protect your peace. Regardless of who's in office, who's in the office of yourself? Like who runs you? Like that, like that's
Yeah.
that, like at the end of the day, like I don't know if you saw the video I put out. Was it
I
the
do
day
watch
before the
your
election?
stuff,
Yeah, I would
baby.
hope so. I have notifications on for you.
Too.
But
I don't mute you.
I put out a video the day before, and I'm like, guys, look, yes, get out and vote, get out and look. But whether this goes red or this goes blue, and we've all got a team that we want to win. Sometimes it goes one way, sometimes it goes the other. The world is not over. Like if who's in office is going to determine how good your life is or how well your business does, just go get in a coffin and wait. Just go down to a cemetery, pick out a plot, and you are giving way too much authority
Exactly.
to outside forces. Like, look, we know that when your team wins, maybe they're a little more plus your side. Maybe they're a little more whatever. But there is a reason that in the U.S. you have, by the way, the country is bigger than any person. And that's why we have a president and we have senators and we have a house and we have all this
There's a
kind of
hierarchy,
stuff. And I
yeah.
said this to you beforehand, like one of the beauties of our country is that if you ever had a president that went in and first, if they can't do everything they want, but even if like they went in and they had control over the Senate, and they were just going bonkers and completely disagreed with the country, that's why senators are voted in and out every 2 years because it's an awakening. It's like, okay, you know what? You're screwing us. We're jumping to the other now. And now they hold each other accountable. And it's this beautiful balance that has gone on forever. And when you look at, like, I'm talking to sane people right now, guys. I'm not talking to the crazies. I'm not talking to you that right now are going crazy, that
Sometimes
Trump
the
won,
crazies think
or the
that
people
they
who
are
went
sane.
crazy when Biden won, or the people that went, you're not my people, guys. Like, I'm a very sane, rational person. And when you look at the presidents who have done the best job, when you look at, for example, like go back in time, when you look at like President Clinton, right? If a President Clinton ran today, he would dominate. because he could actually talk. He would do interviews. He would answer. He was very in the middle. He was very, that kind of a thing. But he was dealing at the time where he had to deal with a Senate Majority Leader, Newt Gingrich. And they had to hold each other accountable and work together and compromise. That's what our country does. And this whole mentality right now from a percentage of people where they're just so radical, it's like not getting everything your way doesn't mean the country's falling apart.
I know.
We probably shouldn't do everything your way. We probably shouldn't do everything my way. We probably shouldn't do anything anyone's way. That's what makes us a democracy, rule of the people, will of the people. We vote people in, we vote people out. We do, and then you look forward to, then you had a George W. Bush who also had to deal with a Senate majority leader and compromise. Our country is bigger than one person, guys. And again, guys, literally, I'm telling you right now, the video I made the day before the election where I said, regardless of wins, red, blue, whatever it is, you would hear the same person right now, as far as I'm concerned, like from me. Like,
I actually asked you that earlier.
Yeah, like it's just like I'm
guys.
I'm not ruled by who's in power. They come and they go. There is checks and balances. There's a constitution. There's all this kind of stuff, and it's just like everybody relax,
Yeah, it's a little much. I mean, I understand it's a big decision. It's a big thing for our country. I don't want to minimize that.
And look, economically, the country was not doing well. And so this was a referendum on the economy. Like you get these people and they say, well, these people voted this way. And it was like, it's like the pinnacle of racism. Everyone's supposed to vote their way. I can't believe that all Latinos or all black people did not vote for her, and it's like, wait a second now, that's not right. Like they should vote for who they want to vote for. Should white people vote for white people? That's insane. We're the U.S. You're supposed to vote according to your values. You're supposed to vote according to, and the bottom line is it was a referendum on the economy. And it was a referendum on inflation. It was a referendum on, and this is what happens in our country. It goes this way, then that way, and then this way and that way. And when things aren't going well, that's the beauty of our country, is that you vote, you switch teams, and you say, let's give you a shot. And if you look at the history of our country, it literally goes back and forth. And I actually personally think that's a good thing. Like, I think it's good that you have these two sides who, again, have to operate more from the middle when they're in power, but they you get these two different points of view, and they switch back and forth. And I think that's actually a healthy thing. You look at California, for example, which California is just a wave of blue. Like, there is just Democrats everywhere. And you look at what's happening with that state. There is a checks and balances of having opposing views and opposing thoughts that I think is just so freaking healthy. And it's one of the beauties of our country. And regardless of where you sit, left, right, whatever, your life's going to be as bad as you make it. Meaning, if you're waking up today and you're putting out posts about how your life is over and you're this and that and whatever, it's like the whole, if you think you can, you think you can't, you're right. Mm-hmm. If you're waking up like that, you've already lost between the ears. You've mentally lost already.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, come on, guys. Like, why would we give anyone that much power? My business, my life was going to move on regardless. I paid attention to it. I cared about it. My life changes none.
Yeah.
It's I'm in control of my life.
I think that's why, and like me, even you, Tom, like we're like, we really haven't been following much.
I tried to stay up, by the way. I tried. I went to sleep,
I didn't follow much of it because regardless of what side it goes on, it is what it is, and life moves on.
And it goes back and forth.
We'll figure it out. And then, you know what? 4 years later, it's going to change again.
And by the way, what they do, the interesting thing is whether it was, Kamala, I got to make sure I say her name right because I said it wrong once on the podcast. And it wasn't like any kind, I just had never said her name before.
It's
I thought it was.
How do they say it?
Realtor instead of realtor. Yeah, like I didn't.
It's like that.
I now know how to say it. And remember, we like, how do you say it? And we thought like comma.
Comma,
yeah. Yeah. But whether it was, Kamala or whether it was Trump or whether it was whatever, there's all these different checks and balances that at the end of the day, once you're the president and you're not just for example, Kamala, you're not just representing, San Francisco, which does not represent the majority of the country when you look at how San Francisco is run.
It's very dirty.
Once you run a country, now you have to represent everybody. And so naturally what happens is that you generally kind of pull to the middle. And if you don't, again, this election was a referendum on the economy. It was a referendum on the fact that, the borders were completely open. And the country spoke and said, yeah, that's not how we do things. And that's kind of what makes people moving forward come to the center when they rule the country, is that, not rule the country, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
When they're running the country, it's because these kind of referendums keep people in the future in check and say, no, this is what we believe. Like, this is, I was just listening to Stephen A. Smith, commentator for ESPN, but he also has a show where he talks politics and stuff. And he was talking about what would be the, the main things that he would do if he were in charge. And number one was the economy. He's like, I don't care what they tell you, I don't care. He's like, the economy is not good. When you look at inflation at 20% and people can't pay their bills and they can't, whatever, it's just like, he's like, yeah, this was a referendum on that. And then he mentioned the border. And he's like, a country without a border is not a country.
Yeah.
You can't just let people come in. You can't, he's like, look, I don't like the rhetoric around it, but it's like, you can't just let millions and millions of people undocumented just come in. And this was a referendum on that. And so what happens moving forward is that everybody in the future looks at that and goes, oh, shoot, we can't go that far to that side. And I think that's a beautiful thing, both on the left and the right. I don't want, and you know me personally, I don't want a far right person running the country. I don't want a far left person running the country. I think there is a beauty that happens with that balance and with that. And I think that's the majority of the country. You've got your crazies, and those are the ones you always hear about. Those are the ones that show up on your timeline. Those are the ones that, whatever. But the majority of the country, the reason why it switches back and forth, because the majority of the country is logical, common sense, what's working, what's not working. And, there's something good about that. So I root for, just like I rooted for Biden, I now root for Trump because I root for the country.
Yeah.
And I think that the country as a whole, that when a president does well, that means that the country does well. When the economy does well, that means everybody does well. And I think it's so un-American that once your person doesn't get in, you start rooting against them. That's so wrong on so many levels. And so me personally, and what I teach my children and what I teach, you can have your personal beliefs. You can root for people. Believe me, my kids have a favorite, okay? But should their person not win, we would be having a talk as a good parent. And I'd be saying, hey, you know what we do now? We root for that person,
It's like good sportsmanship.
Yeah, and that's going to happen. It's like we're American before we're anything. We are American before we are. And most people, let's just be very honest. Most people, let's just say their person just won, okay? Most people are not pro-Trump. They're pro the policies. They were pro a lot of things. But, like, most people in America are not actually. You get your fringe. Most of them aren't pro-Trump. They like the policies. They don't like how far the other side had gone, and this was a referendum on that. And that's not just me saying that. I've been watching a lot of stuff the last couple of days, and a lot of people on the left are saying that. They're like, we went too far. Like, we went, and the country pulled us back. But regardless, as elections go on back and forth, moving forward, you're going to have people on the left, people on the right, people, whatever. They're going to win. And when that happens, and whether my kid's person wins or doesn't win, at the end of the day, we're pro-America. Mm-hmm. We want America to do well, period. We want a strong economy. Mm-hmm. We want low unemployment but good wages. We want low inflation. We want low interest rates. We want affordable housing. We want, all of these types of things.
Yeah.
And so I will say that the one thing I am happy about, whether Kamala or Trump had won, I wanted them to win decisively. Because when it's very tight, one of the things, so Kamala came out the other day and she gave her concession speech, which I think is so important. It's one of the things that annoyed me so much about Trump last time.
You mean yesterday she did it, yeah.
Right, but like Trump, when he lost the 2020 election, never gave a concession speech. Mm-hmm. I think that is so wrong on so many levels. I think that's so un-American. That ticks me off, So I wanted in this election, whether it was Trump or whether it was Kamala, like I'm watching, throughout the night, and everything was saying how tight it was going to be and how this, and I'm going, God, I hope not. because then you were going to have the other side, regardless of which side lost, they were going to contest it. You know, they were going to tell you how nope, and they were going to fight and this and that. When it is as decisive as it was, it's a mandate that says, you know, regardless, if Kamala had won, the mandate would have been, we're on the right track. We're going to keep doing what we're doing. We're going to, like, the country agrees. If Trump won on like a landslide, it was going to be like we're not on the right track. We're not on the whatever. If it was super close, you would just have even more division moving forward because everyone would have felt like they were so close.
Yeah.
You know, like they were so, you know. And it's so interesting because when people win, when people lose, you know, when it's really close, they never think it was because their ideas were bad. They think it was because they were mischaracterized. Mm-hmm. You know?
Yeah.
It's not that the ideas are bad. It's that we're being mischaracterized. And when there's that much of a landslide where, you know, that's one of the biggest wins in a while. I think I saw since like 88 or something like that. That it was that much. It's kind of, again, it's a referendum. And it's like, hey, we need to find our way again because whatever we're doing is not working.
Being on that point, I was listening to a podcast interview with Scott Galloway.
Okay.
And he was mentioning, and
Scott Galloway. He's the guy. You know what he is? You know what I like about him?
What?
So he's a super liberal guy.
Yes.
But he's also like his self-awareness.
Very matter of fact. Like,
yeah. Like he can believe a certain way. He's very liberal, very left, but he's also like, but this is why this isn't working. They're full of crap.
Well,
this isn't. Yeah.
On this interview, he's like,
I haven't seen this, by the way.
Oh, you haven't seen the interview?
I haven't seen this interview.
It's a very good interview. He actually talks about, like, it's kind of weird, but like Trump has a 33% chance dying in office.
And you mean because of how old he is?
And yes,
right.
And like the stress and all of that, and like over him.
Which, by the way, he's like the only president who like didn't age.
So I know that they were talking.
He's like
about
the only
that,
president who went through his years in office.
I wonder if he gets a ton of Botox done.
But I mean, like even like from the perspective of color of hair and whatever, he kind of just stayed the same.
Maybe he dyes at that color every time.
He just stayed the same.
Who knows?
It's so weird that he stayed the same.
But
you ever seen Obama pre and post?
Oh yeah.
That man ate. George Bush pre and post.
Yeah.
Trump stayed the same.
I mean, let's be real. He's from Hollywood area too, so I mean,
he might be a hologram. He might be a hologram because he did not change. Literally, go look at him pre and post.
I know, he's the
same guy. Anyway,
even as a child, like if you look at him as like
he's the same guy forever. It's so weird. Anyway.
Yeah. Anyways, but Scott,
by the way, a lot of people who are listening to us right now who are like just crazies on either side are not going to like this conversation because they want you either hating on people or doing. Guys, just so you know, this conversation today is for all of you that are sane. Like, we're not ideologues. Like, we're just calling it like we see it, like whatever. So just,
Yeah.
Anyway.
And
so Scott Galloway.
Anyways, he was saying right before the election, I think, and he even said it because he was interviewing on Diary of a CEO.
Yeah.
Steven.
Your favorite podcast outside of ours.
Yes. And he said, the election is tomorrow. If she wants to win.
Yes.
She better get on Rogan. She better start hitting these podcasts.
Huge mistake.
He was saying the people are looking at it's all based off personalities.
She wasn't answering
and they
questions.
want to know personalities.
Yeah.
And in order to know it's not through your regular mainstream media anymore.
Yeah.
It's going to be through podcasts. Like it's going to be very organic conversation.
Yep.
They want to get to know who she
Nobody
is.
knows who she is.
And he's like, if she's not going to do that, the chance of her winning are really and he even endorsed her. He endorsed her. And he's like, an endorsement just means I threw money. But like, that's what he said, I endorsed her. And so
who endorsed her?
Scott.
Of course he did. He's a super.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I didn't know that, but yeah.
But he said that. But he mentioned she has to go on these podcasts.
That's so interesting because I just saw a thing too from a pollster who does not like Trump. But he said, so first off, you know who Trump is though. So like whether you like him or don't like him, you know, like he'll tell you what he thinks. Now, then again, I would argue too, a lot of people don't actually know who he is because like when you hear what people say, you could tell they're just listening to the far left media and like, you know, whatever. And like, if you actually spend the time to listen to him though, like if you watch that 3-hour interview with Rogan, whether you like what he says or not, he tells you what he thinks.
Oh, yeah.
That was the issue with her, is that she would never actually, you didn't know who she was. She wouldn't. And so this pollster was saying the reason that Trump won was because those that like him, that are pro-Trump, they're like, they were going out and voting. Like, no matter what, they were for him. Like, they knew who he is and they are for him. Those who liked Kamala, they like her, but they're not like super strong. They don't even really know who she is. It's just kind of like, yeah, I'm for her over him.
Yeah.
And so when it came to voting, percentage-wise, his people show up, hers don't. Because they're like, whatever. And so when you say, hey, Scott Galloway says, big mistake not going on Rogan. Huge mistake. Huge. Like, what'd that thing get? 50, 60, 70 million views on YouTube alone? YouTube gets less views than the actual podcast, like when you go on the actual podcast channels and whatever, which means it got hundreds of millions, right? So when you saw her campaign come out and say, oh yeah, we'll go on 45 minutes or less, and you come to us. That's not a Rogan podcast.
Yeah.
And the idea that you won't go talk to Rogan, he's a liberal. Like, it's hilarious to me when you hear the narrative of him now. He supported Bernie Sanders.
I know.
He's a liberal. He's tired of the nonsense, like people not coming and talking to him. Like, and he's not combative. He would have talked to her, and he literally said, I just want to know who you are. I want to talk to you. We don't even have to talk politics. Let's just get to know you. Let's just whatever. They're going to look back on it and go, huge mistake. She didn't go to him, you know? And because whether you like it or not, he is kind of a gatekeeper.
Yeah.
Look at the number of views. I saw a thing the other day. The number of views he did with Trump, that interview, if you took every one of her interviews over the whole campaign, that one interview did more than all of them combined. Like, you think we should talk? And what I love about that, and I said this to you the other day, moving forward, every candidate is going to go talk to him or talk to, one of these other people. And what I love about that personally, because you know how I am personally, he's a common sense liberal. So, like, he doesn't just go this side, that side, whatever. He's a common sense liberal. At his core, it's almost like what you would call a libertarian now, which is kind of like where I am. I'm kind of like, just leave everybody alone, whatever. I don't care what you believe. Don't make me believe it, but you do what you want to do. He's kind of like that. But when you start dodging him and it's obvious, or you start just saying the same talking points, he'll call you out on it. And let's not forget, 2 weeks before Trump went on there, him and Trump were beefing. Like, everybody forgets that. Because he said some things that weren't very nice about Trump. And then Trump, like Trump does, well, he's this and that. So then Trump attacks him when Trump doesn't even really know him. And then they get to meet each other and have a great conversation, which again, almost all of these people, if they just sat down and talked and you got the humanity of them, not the caricature of them, you'd probably like them. If she goes on there, it's either a lot closer or she wins, because people would at least get to know her.
Yeah.
Nobody ever felt like they really got to know her.
I agree.
It was just all statements and, reading a teleprompter and,
What I do wonder, though, is there was a documentary that was done on Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah.
Right? And how social media was used to sway people's decision-making on the presidency specifically, actually.
Well, it was a lot different last time than this time.
I wonder, though, if they're going to start being like, oh, his presence on here and his endorsements on here, the audience views on this, if they will now be like, well, the podcasting, endorsements from the podcast and all of that.
What do you mean? If what?
Because I believe in the documentary he had to testify if Facebook was putting ads out there or allowing.
You know that he flat out came out and said he was pressured by the Biden administration in the last election to censor, to not talk about the laptop thing with his son, to not, and he said he regrets it. He said he did the wrong thing. Did you know that?
No, I did not.
Oh,
actually.
So Mark Zuckerberg himself came out and said that he got pressured and that he did the wrong thing.
I just always wonder now because Trump was willing to sit on these podcasts, if now it's going to be something.
Everyone has to. They all have to do podcasts now. Legacy media is so biased both ways. Like, when you sit down for 3 hours and talk, people find out who you really are. By the way, on that same note, here's my belief on this. So Zuckerberg came out and said he was pressured by the administration last time. Remember when they were censoring people for all the
yeah.
things about COVID that are now true, right? Came from a Wuhan lab. How dare you say that? You're kicked off the internet. Turns out came from a Wuhan lab. Like all this stuff that was happening. The Biden laptop stuff, you know, kicked off the internet if you talk about it. It was all true, like whatever. But if Trump is smart, I think one of the first things he'll do when he gets into office, when he gets back into office, so weird. First guy since, was it Cleveland? Who was it? The other president who won a non-consecutive term. If he's smart, I think his first move will actually be to pardon Hunter Biden. I think if he's smart, after they brought him through court, which all is going to go away now, but after they went after their political opponent, I think if he's smart and he wants to unite the country, one of the first things he'll do is step forward and say, we're not Venezuela. We're not going to go after our political opponents. We're better than that. We're America. It's not a good look on our country to have presidents and their kids and everybody getting, you know, taken down and sent to jail by the DOJ and everything else. One of his first moves, he should pardon Hunter Biden.
I think he already came out and said he was going to pardon Vince McMahon. I don't know if that counts.
Did he really?
I think he did.
Now, you would know that.
I would.
Now, what does Vince McMahon need to be pardoned for? I just watched that documentary, by the way, but I fell asleep at the end. What did he do?
It's a good amount of stuff.
I heard about all the sexual stuff.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
That's it, though?
I think so.
But there was nothing like, it was more like he was just cheating, right? Did he do anything like wrong?
Yeah, there was some shady business. There was some SA going on.
Okay. I could be, like I said, I haven't actually paid attention to it. But personally, as I said, I think if he really wants to kind of like, look, there's some people, no matter what he does, they're always going to hate him. There's some people, no matter what she does, they're always going to hate the Democratic nominee, you know, whatever. I'm not talking about those people. Like, you're in the fringe. That's anti-American, if you ask me. But for the majority of the country, I think one of the first things, if he stepped forward and he was just like, this is not good for our country. This is not good for, you know, whatever. It's not good look in the world. We're supposed to lead the world. We shouldn't be going after each other, our political enemy. Like that's not America. Pardon Biden's son. Put a hand forward and say, we're better than that. Will he do that? I don't know. That's what I would do. Hey everyone, I want to take a moment and talk to you about a really cool company called Privy. You know, if you were listening to this episode or even moving forward here, you're going to notice that I'm going to talk a lot about investors and how I think this is a huge part of the market that if you're growing a real estate business, we're not paying enough attention to. You know, I'm a big believer here that sometimes to grow your business, you don't just have to pick up a piece of the pie that's already there. Sometimes you have to go to a completely different pie. And it's so interesting because when you look at it, you look at all the data and you see that, you know, 26, 27%, almost 30% of all residential transactions in the last 12 months were investors, right? They were investors. And when I was an agent, like a ton of the business that I did were investors. And so a lot of you hear that and you're like, oh, it's institutional investors. You know, institutional investors only make up about less than 3% of the overall market. And that's actually going down for the first time in years, which means that we have this huge number of people who are buying and selling properties all of the time, right under our nose, thousands of transactions. They're going to happen regardless. The only question is, are they happening with you? And that's the key thing that I want you to understand. And so when you look at Privy and what they do, they make you the go-to person to work with when it comes to finding investments, when it comes to finding out what a good deal is, when it comes to finding out what the right neighborhoods are, what the wrong neighborhoods are, what previous people had did, all at the touch of a button, right? And so all of a sudden, it's funny, I look at their stuff and I'm like, you know, I worked with all these investors when I was selling real estate and I'm like, how did I do this without this kind of a tool? And you don't have to do that. Now these kinds of tools are there. And so you're going to hear me in the future talking a lot about working with investors and what that looks like. And like I've said over and over again, it is my job to not only tell you what the problems are and what the solutions are, but ultimately to give you the tools that you need so that you can be the go-to source for something like that. And man, are these people worth a lot of money to you. So do yourself a favor, guys. Go to privy.pro. That's privy.pro. Amazing tool. You can ask us questions. There's more things even coming down the road with them that are just going to blow you away. But this is a tool you need in your business, especially for what it costs. It's not a cost, though. It's an investment, but it's well worth it. Let's start getting those investors. But who knows?
Yeah.
I don't know whether he will or won't, you know.
Let me know if he does.
Either way, it was.
I won't know.
Yeah,
we don't watch it. Let me know if he does.
Either way, it was a fun night. Like just like being able to sit down with the kids because they're old enough now. And again, regardless of who wins or who whatever, just like being able to explain the process to them and why are some places called earlier than others, and certain counties aren't counted yet. Those are highly Democratic areas. Those are highly Republican areas. That's why they're not calling it yet. And who's going to turn out, and all that kind of stuff. Why did the Latino vote? Why did the black male vote at a higher rate, go for Trump over whatever? Like just that kind of in and out stuff was just so interesting with the kids. They're watching it and they're processing it all. And it was just really, it was cool to see them be a part of that. And so that was fun.
My son just had to color the states for extra credit. I mean, that's all. He doesn't really care about anything else.
I mean, my kids are older now.
They don't really care.
My kids are older now. Like one of my
sons.
My
kids are in line. We're like,
one of my sons
color the freaking states.
One of my sons worked the polls. Like
like, who cares
there's
about
something you want
else?
to say. My son worked the polls.
I know.
He worked the polls. Okay, not in like a dancing on a stage type of way, but he worked the polls. And I showed up, on election day, and he's getting interviewed by someone from the Hartford Courant or whatever. And I'm like, oh God, what is going on right now? But it was interesting.
Did he make any tips?
What's that?
Did he make any tips?
No. What did he? Well, by the dollar. I got him some shoes with goldfish in them in the heels. But that was interesting.
I want to touch on a point real quick. I have my notes here because I don't know what Trump's plans are, right?
Okay.
But you put people are going to hate me for this. Like, I don't know Trump's plans. The politics side of things. The fact that I'm not really political. That's why. Anyways.
Oh, yeah, babe.
I'm just reading your notes. They can't hate me for this. This is your notes.
Nobody.
Trump has said he will use federal land for inventory. Let's talk about this. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay, so here's the question. People want to know, like, how does real estate change under Trump?
Yeah, so let's talk about real estate and...
So there's look, anytime somebody gets in, you're hopeful for any change, And so his plan, whether it will work or not, his plan, in his words, in order to increase the inventory and such, which supply and demand, you need more inventory, is to use more federal lands that have been off limits for building. That's one of his plans. Whether that will work or not,
for building residential homes.
Yes, for building residential homes.
Businesses.
Another part of his plans too. This part I completely agree with, is reducing the regulation on building those homes. Regulation has gone out of control in this country. I mean, look at your area, California. If you want to put a shed in your backyard, it's going to take 3.5 years. It's
Why?
just because the regulation, it's got to jump through so many hoops. They've got to charge so many fees. It's like everybody's got their hand in the cookie jar trying to make money rather than just letting you do what you need to do for the sake of to build, to put something in your yard. Bill Maher talks about this all the time. Like, where he tried to do like an addition on his home and, 3.5 years later, he's like, is this a joke, guys? Like, this isn't that difficult. But everybody's another fee, another this, another permit, another, everybody's just making their money, And so he's talked about deregulating the construction process.
Do you feel like 4 years is enough time to even get that, to deregulate the construction process?
Is 4 years enough time to ruin a process? Well, then it should be enough time to fix it. Oh, there you go. So,
I always wonder how many of these policies will actually take place in the term that he has.
Well,
I think a lot of it is like done in the next 10, 20 years, 30 years. Probably not even in our
not for something like that.
Life.
Not for something like that.
I always wonder though, because I don't think 4 years is enough to make such a big impact throughout the nation.
Potentially. Now, look, part of what happens when one president passes to the next is they decide what they keep and what they don't. That was part of the whole Keystone, killing the oil inventory as far as, when the last administration came in. That was part of the whole immigration issue when the last administration came in, is that, we had a very strong border. And then the last, Biden came in and basically said, we're going to do things different, and went completely against what people like Obama did, which was actually very good. Obama was actually very strong on immigration. And do you know Obama deported more people than Trump? Just never talked about it.
No.
Because he believed in strong borders.
Yeah.
You know? And so that's what I mean. Like, you get people come in and they go to the center and they're like, okay, we need to be a strong country. We need to whatever. But like, but part of what happens is they come in and they either keep going with the plans that are working with the, you know, or they go and they change them, and there's consequences for that. And so, you know, you can have somebody come in and make changes, and then it's a matter of, with the next administration, do they keep it going or do they not keep it going? Is it working or is it not working? But that's also part of, you know, when you look at Trump winning, and then he also has the Senate, which means he has votes. You know, if they do good things in 2 years, people will keep those people in. And if they do bad things and it's not working in 2 years, they're going to switch it over and go, nope, we need Democrats in there.
Okay,
you know?
So back to the real estate side. So outside of like limiting like regulations or reducing the regulations, you have first-time home buyers.
By the way, regulation's a big one, just so you know. That's a big one. Because when you make it difficult and you make it expensive, I'm not saying that there shouldn't be any regulation. There should be regulation. Like, you don't just throw up a house and go, oh, there it is. There has to be some oversight to make sure electrical is done correctly, that things are built correctly, things are built to code. But like most things, it's like every time you give an inch, here's 8 feet. And they just get so involved where it's like, this does not need to be this difficult. And everybody's got their hand in the cookie jar, taking more money. It's got to take more time. It's got to take more time. And so it went too far. And so, again, whether it will work or not, we're talking about his plan. We're not talking about whether it would work or whether we agree or not. He's saying he's going to deregulate a lot of that and make it easier and cheaper to build again. Cheaper, when you talk about inflation, inflation is through the freaking roof. It's become, when I was selling real estate, it would cost to build a home about $125 a square foot. And if you wanted luxury, I'm talking top of the line appliances and a tray ceilings and whatever, you were at $225 a square foot. You know, now you're at $400 to $500 a square foot for a modular home. Everything's gone through the freaking roof, and it needs to get under control. And that's not a left or a right thing. Like, that's an American thing. That's not right. You know, that hurts families. That hurts middle class families. That hurts builders. That hurts the price of the goods you're buying. That hurts, like, it's no good, you know?
Yeah.
And so anything we can do to bring that down, you know, is a good thing.
Yeah.
So again, whether it will work or not, he's saying using federal lands, so you open up and now you build more places, more inventory, and he's saying deregulate the process by which that's done, so it's not as difficult.
And then first-time homeowners.
You know, Elon Musk was talking about this the other day. It was such an interesting line. He said it takes more time for us to get approval on a launch than it does to build the rocket. And I heard that, and I'm like, that's a good way to explain it. He's like, it takes us less time to build the rocket than it does to get some government official to approve us to actually go do what we need to do. You know, that is bureaucracy at its, you know, worst or best, however you want to define it. But his perspective is we need to get rid of a lot of that. Yeah. You know? So anyway, what were you going to say about that?
No, first-time homeowners. What are we thinking there? Just interest rates?
I was going to say first-time home buyers. I mean everybody says they're going to help first-time home buyers. First-time home buyers.
There's a lot of states that we talked about this last time on the podcast. A lot of states that actually offer funding to help with closing costs, and no one ever takes advantage of that.
Well, it's because they come with so many stipulations. Like when you say that right now, we have a large realtor community that watches us, and they'll say, yeah, there's $30,000 available for blank. But it makes no sense. The rates are too high. You got to pay it back. Now you're paying even more per month.
When I say government funding, a lot of them are grants. They're not paid back. You just qualify.
A lot of them aren't.
Because I qualify. My first time home, like my first purchase, I qualified.
I don't disagree that they're there. I'm telling you, most of them aren't.
Maybe you're
well,
right.
let's guys, we got a large realtor community here. Why don't you guys comment below and let us know?
I love the realtor community, but I feel like a lot of and I ran a multiple listing service. I worked in an association for years.
It's a big butt right here.
Are not.
I know this is a big butt right here.
A lot of agents. A lot of agents, don't hate me for this,
putting the camera
but
on
don't
right
know
now.
what's available for their clients.
Sure.
They don't know.
Sure.
And what's crazy is all you have to do is go to your local association or state association to get all the benefits.
I don't think that's controversial to say.
No, but it's unfortunate. I don't think we do enough work to see what is available from our clients. What could they take advantage of? What grants are out there they could qualify for? Yeah. Even on a local, a lot of local associations have a nonprofit that help fund, and so Yeah, it's great to see that Trump wants to do on a national scale, but it's readily available right now.
I'm gonna play devil's advocate and play the voice of what the realtors are gonna tell you in the comments.
They're gonna do it just because it's Jared James saying it.
No,
right
no,
now.
no. It's because I'm connected to them. I know that. I know this is true. I know this is true.
Because you did whatever you're probably.
We brought this up. I mean, I was talking to a group of realtors just the other day, and I was talking about first-time home buyer assistance and all this kind of stuff. And to a T, almost every one of them is like, yeah, we never use it because the grants are impossible to qualify for, and the actual first-time home buyer assistance, the rates they come with and the paybacks and it just doesn't make sense. And that wasn't the case when I was selling. Just, when I was selling, that wasn't the case. To a T, though, almost every one of them told me that exact thing when I'm talking to them. They're like, they're almost pointless now. They look like they're really good, but nobody can qualify for the good ones. I hope that's the case
versus like it's just more work.
No, that's not why. I don't agree with that.
Because my agent, who when I first used, did all the work like for me. I didn't even know of what was available.
Yeah.
And did all of it for me.
Yeah.
I had an amazing.
We agree
lender,
there, by the way. Most people don't know what's available to them.
That was even like, hey. And lenders know more than realtors on what's available too. And
they should.
Yeah. And so even my lender was like, take advantage of this, do this. Actually, when did I buy? I think when Obama went into office, I qualified within 60 days of my original purchase for something else. And I was able to actually change the loan that I had and receive money back.
Oh, wow.
On it. And he's the one that advised me on it. And
Obama did?
No.
That's awesome.
No, my lender, who is an amazing guy, which I still use. You're such a jerk.
I don't know why that. Did she
Anyways,
just call me a jerk on the
let's
podcast?
change
Did
this.
She just...
Yes, because you're really just laughing at me. It's not even that
no,
stupid joke that you
no,
just
I'm
made.
actually proud of myself for saying like Obama called.
That
like,
was not funny.
I was gonna try to do an Obama impression, but then I realized it's gonna stink. It's gonna be terrible. It's gonna
Let's change the topic.
It's gonna turn into John Wayne real quick. Like, I'll tell you what I'm gonna do.
Completely.
That is actually though, like in all seriousness, if you actually were able to change and get the money back, that's actually a great example of what we're talking about right now. Where like that would be an example of like almost like deregulation. I
don't know anything about this, but in the state of California, it's like a 60-day or 90-day whatever that you're able to do.
I actually like that. I actually like that.
But,
I think that's a great thing. I think if that's the way they still do it and whatever, I think that's a great thing. I think sometimes that because of the bureaucracy, we get locked into things. They're like, sorry, can't do it because of red tape, because this has to do that and that has to do it, and make it all almost like what I'm talking about. Almost like what I'm talking about with like when you talk to agents now, when they talk about grants and first-time homebuyer assistance, they're like, yeah, it looks great till you actually try to get into it, and it doesn't work. It doesn't, that like the idea that you could get into something and then find out there's something better and actually get money back. I think that's awesome.
But yeah, I mean, it's not
the kind of ease I wish we were.
The consumer that knows. It's like I'm saying, it's my lenders and realtors that were just very.
But I'm saying the fact that it's allowed.
Mm-hmm.
I love that, and that's almost like deregulation. It's like, okay, yeah, we can still do that. But anyway, so you've got stuff like that happening, and then obviously, I mean, the big thing is going to come down to interest rates.
Well, everyone was holding off, right, until the election,
which is so dumb.
So now it's going to be interesting to see. Okay, it's post-election. Obviously, he's not in office just yet.
Well, we know the stock market liked Trump because the market went up 1,500 points the next day. Like, that was the market going, yeah, we like this.
Wall Street,
like, this is, yeah. But as far as from the perspective of rates, who knows if he can, part of the problem with rates a lot of times is inflation and those things. And so hopefully if he can get that stuff under control, then the rates will come down as well. That's the hope. I mean, that was the case when he was in office. It's always funny to me when people say, like, he's going to do this or he was in office. Like, we could just go look at what was done. Like,
yeah, but that was also a pandemic year, too.
Well, that was before. You had 3 years before the pandemic. So you can look at 3 years and say, this is how the person governs. Mm-hmm. And like it or don't like it, you at least know you're not guessing. Like, you have 3 years of how he governed. And so, and by the way, that was part of when you look at what just happened in the election too. That was when they did the exit polls. That was part of what people said too. Was they were like, hey, we've got 3 years of her and all, we got 3 years of him, and they were putting those things against each other. And so it's really not a guessing game. It's like, well, he was in there.
Yeah.
And let's see what he did. And so the hope is, can you get rates down? Can you get, again, just for the good of the country? You know, you can't keep operating in a situation. Generally speaking, when prices go up, rates go down. When rates go up, prices come down. Like they kind of, you know, we've had this thing the last couple of years. Rates go up and prices go up. And it's like, this is not sustainable. You know, the average first-time home buyer right now, how in the world would they buy a house? You know?
They're not. I actually was just listening to another podcast that talked about we now have more, as far as like gender-wise, men versus women that are staying with their parents longer.
100.
Like, and not moving out until closer to their 30s.
Babe.
30s.
Okay, two things.
Oh my gosh, my children.
Two things. Two things. Before this whole inflationary, you know, through the roof, rates, prices, whatever. So pre-pandemic, you had to make $75,000 a year to buy a home. Today, it's $135,000. Yeah. So you look at 2005. In 2005, everybody's like, oh, you know, last year we had 3.8 million sales. It's like, can we get to 4? Can we get to 4.5? Can we get to... In 2005, there were 7 million homes sold when there was way less people on the planet.
Yeah.
So what that tells me is that the conditions are leading people to not buy. And you have a lot of people living in their parents' basement. Mm-hmm. Like, that's what you have.
And you have a lot of women that are marrying older, they said, because...
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Look at
10
this.
10 years, right?
10 years?
Because
10 years? I think you inflated the age difference. I just want everybody to know there, okay?
10 years.
Inflation's really hitting.
Are you still saying 10 years and you're looking at the camera?
His birthday is coming up, you guys.
I am 4 years older than you.
So it'll be 11? Is that what I'm...
Oh, yeah.
I do have a birthday coming up. I forgot about that.
November 19th, everyone. Mark your calendar and make sure you
I'm not happy about this. I'm not happy about it. But I'm what? I'm 4 years older than you? I am a president's term older than you.
You're going to be 43?
Why would you even say that? Why would you do that? Why would you even do that?
The only time he's proud of his age is when you compare him to Sean McVay. Because he'll say, no, he looks like me because I'm older. I don't look like him. But now he's like 43. Why would you say that?
God, 43 sounds so old when you say that out loud.
By the way, since we haven't, the last time we shot a podcast was before Halloween. You were Sean McVay. And
I can't get the number 1849 out of my head right now.
It was crazy.
It's 43 squared.
It was, why would you bring that up?
I don't, it just popped into my head.
That's weird.
Little known fact, guys, I'm a whack job with numbers.
Yeah.
So let's just confirm that because I just said that for everybody
really
to
matter.
hear. 43 times 43. I'm saying 1849. Let's see. You ready?
Well, he does that.
1849.
Congratulations.
All right. So anyway, yep. So we went and did Halloween.
Yeah, everyone was going wild with Jared.
Oh, it was hilarious.
Yeah.
Sean McVay.
I got out of the car.
All the men, no women knew him, but all the men, all the guys were like, what?
Well, the one woman who came over, she goes, "Are you Jared James?" I was like,
and we were listening to this right now because she was a realtor.
We were a couple of beverages in because we were just having a good time. We were with friends, center in New Haven, just having a good time. And somebody said that, and I was like, I'm not sure what to say right now.
Not today, ma'am. Not today.
Yeah. Not right now.
Oh, gosh. Okay, so what else is happening this week? We have NAR tomorrow. Actually, NAR kicks off Monday, I think.
Well, I am disappointing some friends because last second I am not going. I told people I was going. I was planning on going. And then my son's team selfishly won their last game. And so they move on in the state tournament.
Unreal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So
it's going to be interesting.
So he's got a game Friday. So all of a sudden I am not going, which I was planning to.
Which
I haven't let all my friends know yet. This is a last second thing. I feel terrible. But look, every game is potentially the last one. And here's the thing. Everybody's like, oh, but they're going to win, right? So
yes.
they're now number 6 in the country. But they're not in the division they're supposed to be in. Because of how good they are, they moved them to Class LL. According to the size of their school, they should be a Class S, which means small school. So every team they're playing against is huge school, big pull.
If they were ranked against that division, what would they be?
Well, they technically are. That's why they're
okay, there you are. There you go, you guys. That's the answer. They're still number 1. They're really good.
Yeah, they are. No, there's no doubt they're really good. But I'm just saying, though, that every team they play is also really good. Yeah. And even if they would beat that team 9 out of 10 times, all you got to do is play them once when you're not going to win. Look, the last game we played, we were tied at 0 at the half.
And then they decided to turn it up a notch.
Well, just balls started going in.
They're like, let's actually play it. Stop scrimmaging. That's what they said. We're scrimmaging and I'm getting exhausted. Let's play.
That's what they said.
I'm like, I call it. They're gonna win. I mean, they're gonna win, and they're.
Well, you've been right all year long. They haven't lost.
They've been undefeated.
But all it takes is, I'm telling you, every team they play is great. Like when you come to that game on Friday, you're gonna see like every team they play is great now.
The only way they will not win is if a player decides to play selfish. That's it.
Yes, when they pass the ball, they're unbeatable.
Right now, they all have the same goal. They all want to be number one. So I think
who knows? It seems to come and go.
So you're not going to NAR.
You'll hear me yelling from the sideline, like, guys.
You're not going to NAR because of soccer.
Correct.
And that's fine. Because, baby, you know what? I'm sorry to say this. NAR is not going to miss you. But if you didn't go to soccer, your son would absolutely miss you.
She's feisty today. Am I
10
right?
10 years older, NAR's not going to miss you.
NAR's not going to miss you.
She's a little feisty today.
And you know what?
Okay.
Just like politics, it's going to come and go. Whatever happens, happens.
So, guys, I am auditioning for a new co-host. Okay.
No. Your friends will miss you.
Yeah.
Your friends will.
Yeah. I'm fine with it. You know what? Next year...
it'll be in California.
Noah doesn't play a sport during this. Grayson won't be in soccer. He'll be graduated, so I'll be in NAR next year.
Baby, you have the rest of your life to go to NAR, okay?
I've been saying it every year. I'll go next year. I'll go next year. I haven't gone in years.
Oh, my gosh.
Eventually.
Yeah.
Eventually.
But I was looking at the agenda today. There's going to be quite a bit of things on the MLS committee, which I love looking at.
Yeah, I was going to say, you were like really
stuff.
interested in that. I was kind of, yeah.
There's going to be some policy changes on the
You were
MLS
nerding
committee.
out.
So I'm really trying to, which I will still nerd out after this to kind of see what's going to be going on. The cool thing is if you're a director, actually every realtor has access to this. You could look at all the minutes, literally everything on the agenda. It's going to be talked about. You don't have any voting power, but at least you get to see what's happening. And then
Getting excited about this, Tom?
What's going to be voted? Big time. What's going to be voted on?
Ooh.
See, I care more about this than the actual political sense of like.
I know. I was going to say, now she lights up.
Yeah.
Right? Because
now she lights up.
At least you have some control, and it's really going to affect policies on an NAR level will affect business.
I love that she thinks the president doesn't matter at all.
I really don't care.
Yeah.
Trump.
Yeah.
No, but
guys, just so you know, right before this podcast started, she took off her "Make America Great." Is it "Make America Great Again"? The hat, or is it "Make America Great"? Hat,
yeah.
Does it say again, or does it say "Make America Great"?
I'm not the expert.
Okay.
I live in the.
She
cave.
took it off right beforehand, guys.
Red was not my color.
Yeah. That's why she doesn't wear it.
I actually don't like red.
That's why. By the way, the fact that we're even joking about this, there are people like foaming at the mouth, like, that is not a, it's just like,
I literally don't like the color red on me. Yeah, that's it.
I'm sure it looks good.
No, but yeah, I mean, I think the reason why I'm a little more passionate about NAR than I am presidency is because, and I'm not even a realtor, but you have power in a boardroom, like as a realtor.
Yeah.
In a committee. Your voice actually does matter. The questions that you bring up do matter, and you could actually go to a mic and say something. Like they'll listen to you. Because you pay realtor dues, right?
Yeah.
And you go. And so that's it'll be interesting though to see MLS changes that are going to be happening.
Well, I mean, this is a year for
directors,
it. Like they better come up with something.
What's going to be happening on an executive session meeting and what happens on a director standpoint. I don't miss going to those meetings because those are long-winded days. It's just what comes out of them and changes and shifts and all of that. We do know that the dues are not going up next year, but what they do talk about is they're going to talk about dues going up possibly following, and they go over finances and all the financial stuff.
It's going to be interesting because if they lose the number of members I think they're going to lose, what's going to happen with those dues because they got to pay a lot of money every year. What is it? 104.5 million? Is it 418 million? So that'd be 104.5 million per year. Times 4.
But they'll go over all the year-end stuff. And so that's kind of cool. Anyways, so that's NAR. You're missing that. It's in Boston.
Yep.
It's going to be cold and windy.
Maybe.
Look at you. You're clearly not upset that I'm not going.
Not upset.
Oh, you're staying here with me?
Even if you did, me and Tom, you and I will be doing the podcast with no Jared.
Hey-o. It'll be the exact opposite of this, where we'll just talk about how we didn't watch any of the.
And
How are you doing? What are you doing?
I would expect all of you to boycott that episode. Okay,
We
that's
would
the
record
one.
it for fun and never publish it.
That's
It'd
right.
be an unpublished podcast.
I want one comment on that whole podcast, and I just want someone to go get an emoji of like a cricket. Just put it in the comments. That's all I want. Okay, and then we ignore that podcast.
Okay, so you're missing Boston.
Oh, Tom liked that one. Look at this.
Oh,
we got
gosh.
actual laughter going on over here.
You're missing Boston.
Any day I can make the unhomed laugh, it makes me very happy. I have to say, it's
your 2025 calendar is booking up.
oh
Let's
God.
talk about that. You're missing Boston, unfortunately, but oh my gosh,
2025
next year you might
calendar.
actually miss mid-year next year.
Yeah, the
and miss a
mistake
lot
I
more.
made was opening up to the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just booked a tour where I'm trying to see if you can meet me, but I'm doing.
Is it for Remax?
I don't remember who, but I'm doing Czech Republic to Portugal
3-country tour?
to
The
Turkey.
city.
Yeah, and then from there, Dallas.
Oh God.
So I'm going to go from speaking this language, that to Dalician.
This is our
That's-
year.
That's crazy.
Dalician?
That's I think that's Dallas, right?
Or you're not a Cowboy fan? We miss our
God, no.
our
I'm
year.
just saying that's how
Oh.
that's how they speak. down
Oh,
there.
yes,
This is
yes.
our
Oh,
year.
gotcha.
Yeah, but your calendar is filling up.
It's filling up very
Already.
quick. Yeah, I'm almost at the point where I'm about to just say, yeah, no, not anything. I'm good. It's such a balance. I don't know if this is interesting to our audience or not, but it's such a balance between like getting out there and like, you know, doing your thing, doing events, doing whatever, and like not just being home. Tom.
But let's just be
I'm
real.
just gonna perform for Tom
I
today.
don't know why.
He just
When
keeps
you say
laughing.
just being home, you're still working. It's not like you're
No,
off.
100%.
Yeah,
but it's
don't
just
let
it's
people
just
think
nice.
that you're not. It's just like it's other things, other companies we operate.
Well, that's it. When you
Like,
go do events, I say it all the time. Speaking is the smallest part of our business. Like, but it takes a good amount of
exhausting
time. But it's a part of you get out there and it's almost like political. You rally the base. But no, you gotta like go see people in person. We see our students on the road, and also a lot of my content comes from. This is a weird way to explain it, but I'll just explain it like this. But it's the truth. A lot of times when I go and do events, and I do what I call smaller events. Now, I don't want to define what that is because I don't want to offend anybody. I don't want to offend anybody, but I mean, like, you're not doing an arena. You're not doing,
Yeah.
whatever it is. Like when I do those countries, we'll be doing arenas everywhere, right? It's almost like a stand-up comedian who, hits the clubs in New York before they do their Netflix special. A lot of times when I get in front of those audiences, I have some prepared stuff, and then I just let my head go, and I just start talking, and I start figuring things out, and I let it, whatever, and it's just kind of like, then you start, oh, that worked. Oh, change that up. Got to try that again. Oh, that was something. Work that. I will literally make a note of something, and I'll be like, blah, 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 and I'll be like, you know what this means? Work that. And it's like a stand-up comedian, right? And so a lot of it is that, too. It's like a lot of the content and stuff that a lot of you will hear me talk about, whether it's on social or at events or at the Advance or at whatever. It's worked by doing these other events that are on the road. And so there is a lot of usefulness to it from that perspective. And look, I downplayed it, but it is true. It's also good to see people. It's really cool to see people that, have followed you for years and you've known for years. It's really cool to grow your base. Now it feels political, but it's like to grow your base. Like people, one of my favorite things when you go to an audience and they're like, I'd never heard of you before. And then, that's awesome because you grow. And so that's really cool. It's just exhausting.
I think it's even further exhausting knowing that you have to slow down your pace a little bit because when you go to these countries,
Well, the countries are another thing. Talk about exhausting.
your mind moves so quick.
Yeah.
that
Oh, you
have to-
mean the way I have
you
to talk.
You have to slow it down
Yes.
because they have to get it interpreted and processed.
Yes.
And then, so like that's another level of exhaustion in a way.
Yeah, I thought you were talking about Dallas.
No,
But yes.
no, like overseas with translators.
I joke about it, but it's also true. When you're from the Northeast, I will do a Northeast event different than I do a Texas event. Like,
really?
100%. Because Northeast, you can and like they all talk like that. They all like think about it. New York, New Jersey, whatever. Like that's how our head works. Like whatever. If you go to an event in Texas, Like I'm going to be doing a United Country, okay? Which I love. I've done them for years. We got students in there, we got whatever. They're awesome. Like I love them. But they're awesome. They talk different. They like the Northeast is very quick, like that kind of a thing. My job is to communicate when I'm in front of an audience. I'm not doing my job if I'm not communicating in a way that they're hearing that communication. And so if you go to a place where, they talk a little slower and they do a little, this was the thing when since we're talking about elections, everybody talked about George W. Bush like he was an idiot. And yet he was Ivy League educated, smart guy, whatever. He was but he lived in there, Texas. And they talk different. Mm-hmm. And they, and so no matter where you are, yes, in the other countries, I have to slow it down and I have to talk to the most common theme so that everyone gets it and it makes sense and it whatever. But then even when I come back and I go to a place like Dallas, I will talk different in Dallas than I do in Massachusetts. Because it's my job to communicate in a way that it makes sense, Mm-hmm. And so, you kind of have to slow your head down a little bit. Not that they're slower. They're not slower. They just communication. They talk slower.
Yeah,
then the Northeast is like on 2-speed.
Overseas, when you're
overseas
talking
is
a
different.
completely
Yeah.
different language.
Oh yeah, overseas. I mean, look where I just came back from that one where I was in
Portugal.
Nope, the one with the 40 countries.
I don't know.
I don't remember, but wherever it was, we had over 40 different countries in the audience. And talk like all different translators and different, whatever. You have to speak to the most common theme and do it in a way and talk with a cadence that is understandable. And, you have to think about the translators being able to keep up. You have to think about the words that you use, that them being able to translate them into words that matter in their language, And so you can't use certain jokes. You can't. It is interesting. There's no doubt about it. So that was interesting. Went over well, you just got to think about it beforehand. You can't do the same thing. I think the first time I did an overseas audience, I didn't know that. And one of the translators actually came up to me afterwards backstage and she's like, "Can you slow down a little bit?" And she didn't say it mean. She just literally meant like, "Can you slow down a little bit?" I remember, like I mentioned before, like when you go to Texas or you go to one of these places, I remember looking at the audience and nobody said it, but I remember looking at them and realizing, oh, you're Northeasterning right now. You're not in the Northeast. You got to slow down. That's not how they communicate, And then when you get back to Northeast, now you go back to talking how they talk.
Yeah.
And you almost have to mirror your audience, in some ways. In order to communicate with them effectively, in the way that they're actually going to hear it and receive it. And, you got to think about the audience, So there's a point of it, there's a part of it whenever you're in front of an audience that you've got to stay true to yourself. Your brand is what makes you you. But then there's this balance also where you also have to think about who you're talking to and you don't want to get in the way of them being able to be communicated with because you're not talking in a way that makes sense to how they live, Hey guys, I want to talk to you about an amazing real estate tool right now called Mosaik. If you want to take your people off of the portals where they're all hanging out and whatever and into your ecosystem, this is the tool that does that. This is a beginning to end, not a CR, it's not another CRM, it doesn't replace that, but it's a beginning to end system that really looks at the lifetime value of your client and looks at every part of that process and takes care of all of it in a way that's completely transparent. So yes, they've got search, they've got transaction coordination, they've got, even for us when we do things like we teach our students the Core 100, they've got the ability to put those people in there, track what's happening, do all of that in an amazing way. But probably the thing that I love about this more than anything is the transparency. In an industry that keeps talking about transparency, and usually when you hear something over and over again, it means that it's not being done at all. This is actually a transparent tool. This is the first tool that I've seen that actually brings the consumer into the transaction. And I think that is the next level of where we are going within this industry. You hear from so many buyers and sellers
sellers that, oh, my agent didn't do anything, or I feel like they're not, and there's not this communication going on. This is the first tool I've seen, almost like the early days of .loop where you had that collaboration, but it was just for the document and the signature. They can do that with the transaction now, not only with the clients, but with the vendors, whoever it is, in an amazing way where they can see every step of what's going on. You can write notes to them back and forth. They can see every part of the paperwork and everything and the way that you decide to show it. It's really the next level of what we need to be doing from a consumer experience perspective, so they know what's happening, and more importantly, we drive that lifetime value back to you. So if you haven't yet, guys, this is a tool you're going to hear over and over again. You're going to hear me talk about it because I really think it's my role to not just define what the problems or solutions are, but provide the tools that will actually get you there. And while so many tools right now are just check the box and just say you have them, this is one yourself, your team, your brokerage. If you're not on it yet, you need to be. This is not the last you're going to hear about this. They're going to grow astronomically, and this is something you need to get on board with if you're going to operate. If you're going to be one of those people that really overcomes and is that top producer in your area, you've got to have the right tools in place, and Mosaik is one of those right now. So do yourself a favor. Go check out mosaik.io, mosaik.io. Again, mosaik.io. You won't regret it, guys. Send us questions if you do, but this is one of those ones that you're going to look back on and remember, amazing tool.
And so I would tell anybody who wants to get into speaking or wants to get into, if your job's to communicate with the audience, you got to think about the audience. Mm-hmm. How do they like to be communicated with? And you gotta pick up that cadence, so to say. Different humor doesn't work in certain places. I found that out the hard way too.
And how?
I don't know if I should go into it, but I don't know. I made a joke once.
He's going into it.
All I'll say is, so I don't really censor myself because there's not really much to censor in the sense that I'm not a swearer. I'm not whatever you hear me say in front of people, I would say behind the scenes. Like you and I, it's you found the one guy in the Northeast who doesn't run around throwing F-bombs everywhere.
Which is very true.
Maybe me and Tom.
Yeah.
Maybe. So, yeah. And I was in a very deeply religious area of the country, and I made a joke that was, look, what makes jokes funny is they're a little edgy. They make people uncomfortable. That's what makes them funny, And I could tell it did not go over.
You weren't hired there for
I could. Well, no, I mean, you're supposed to joke and make people laugh and stuff, but I could just tell it did not go over the same way with them that it did the day before in another area I was in, and that's part of that whole self-awareness. You just kind of you see it, you hear it, and you go, okay, yeah, that doesn't go here. And instead of going, well, they don't get it. This is who I am. This is how I talk. This is whatever. You start to realize, no, my job is to communicate in a way that it makes sense to them. And so I had to make some adjustments, And so you just think about that before every audience you're in front of. You think about how fast you talk or how slow you talk. You think about the jokes you use. You think about your cadence. You think about just a lot of that stuff. It's the side that's not always talked about, but, it matters. It absolutely matters. So when you talk about going in front of other countries, yeah, it absolutely matters. They don't even do real estate the same way.
I know, yeah.
Think about that. When I'm in front of those 40 countries, you have 40 different ways of doing business.
So you really don't, when you're overseas, you're not really talking about how to do real estate. It's probably more
but I keep it generic.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're not specific.
It's about the customer. It's about lifetime value. It's about,
because they don't even implement technology the way we do.
Yeah, technology,
it's so different.
Team building, all of that stuff. They're not using Zillow. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're not, their average response time is 2 weeks on a lead, it's,
the way they do business.
Yeah. And so it's, that's why it was such a joke when all this stuff was happening with the lawsuits and everything. And they're like, well, Australia does it this way, and this country does it this way, and this country. And I'm like, I'm the guy who's hired to go to these other countries to try and westernize their system. You're telling us that we should be like them when their people are hiring me going, this isn't working.
Yeah.
It's such an interesting dynamic. But anyway, so 2025 is booking up. Doing some other countries, which will, hopefully we'll see, but hopefully I can get you out to 1 or 2 of them just so I can have a little bit of
that'd be
downtime
fun, yeah.
because as you know, I go into these countries and I don't do a minute of downtime. Like I just literally just like go in, do it, and then I'm out. And even like when you stick around for the night and you go to like the after party or something, it's like you're on the whole time, just talking to everybody and doing, you know, whatever. And it's just like, it'd be nice to be able to kind of just slip away with you and just kind of like go see some of these beautiful sites I hear about, but actually be able to like enjoy them. And,
Yeah.
you know, for me, it's just another place. It's just a long, long flight.
Well, I know for you, and probably for me too. Right, because I'm in California.
If you go, yeah.
Yeah, I'm further.
Yeah.
I'm excited about. So last year we did, or this year, I guess, we did our fitness challenge. Not fitness challenge. What was it? An accountability group.
You said
We ran an accountability
babe, I
group.
need you to not be as fat. That's what you said to me behind the scenes.
I would never.
You said
I would never say
verbatim, word for word, you said, honey, you look like a male pregnancy emoji.
I don't think anyone believes you.
You said
right
that
now.
to me.
No. So
You said you're in great shape. You're the shape
we
of a
did
pear.
an accountability group, and it was so
Circle is a great
cool
shape.
that we got
You're
a
the shape
great-
of a pear.
You guys, we had a great group of people that actually joined us for about, what is it, 2 months or 3 months?
I think
it was
2
2
months.
months.
Just, you know, guys, she didn't say any of that. I was just
didn't.
roasting myself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just ignore it.
You're in great shape if you're trying to be the
Anyways.
shape of a pear.
And I'm super excited because I'm working on
You nailed it.
something really good. Hopefully, I have enough like confidence in myself to actually be like, hey, let's actually use it now. But for this next group coming up,
You told me that you developed a tapeworm you were going to give me, and it was
I'm
a
so
great.
done.
It was a great weight loss plan. You told me. That's your words. You said, "Eat this; it turns into a tapeworm."
You said you're 10 years older, so you have to start
I think we
losing
just
some of that
lost
weight,
all
too.
of our viewers and listeners right
She
now.
said, "Babe, you're old enough. You can just give up."
I think we lost all. Sorry, you guys.
No,
That's
babe,
going to be
babe,
it for the
I'm
Jared
saying
James
your words.
podcast.
These aren't my words, everybody. These are my wife's words to me.
Yeah,
She said,
right.
"You're old enough. You can."
I'm
clearly
excited.
Just give
Jared's
up.
actually not involved in this one. It's just going to be myself. And,
Once again, guys, I expect crickets.
and,
Then crickets
Crickets for what?
for the program.
Oh, for the program. But I'm super excited. I've been talking to a few people that have joined us.
What are we
in
doing? Are we actually
January.
doing this again?
You don't know it. You're not a part of it. It's me.
She wasn't kidding.
Yeah, it's just me. What's really cool though is I have a whole like nutrition set up. I have a whole workout set up. I actually go in depth on the benefits of why to move your body, why to work out, all of it. Weight training versus just circuit training.
Unfortunately, guys, I can't
cardio.
endorse this.
So
we're gonna have to
which
call
is
for
fine.
a boycott.
But very excited to do this, and I'm hoping we launch it beginning
Oh,
of
now
December.
it's we.
Me and Tom.
Oh, it's you
Yeah.
and Tom. There you go.
Launch
People
it.
should definitely listen to me about fitness.
You hit the gym every morning, don't you?
No, every Mondays and Fridays.
Perfect.
Yeah,
That's a great.
I
No,
appreciate the credit
but,
though.
But you are
beginning of December.
so you and I still have to go over this, but I think it sounds like we're doing it because you've been putting a lot of work into it. But we're talking about doing some kind of like a
Let's get serious.
fitness,
now, please.
healthy type of thing for the new year when everybody gets really serious about getting healthy.
Everyone does it.
Bringing people along with us. We usually have a closed group. We hold everybody accountable, workouts, what to eat, different things, answering questions.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna change it up a bit though. I'm gonna the community is gonna be a little different. I don't think. Yeah, it's gonna be all new, which I have to show you all of it.
I was
But,
gonna say, I don't know any of this yet.
No,
yeah.
you don't. But until it's up and working and going, as in I'll show you. But yeah, it's all about. It's not even about getting fit. Who cares about getting fit?
Where's the community? Is it going
It's
to be on
literally-
MySpace?
It's literally going to be about a lifestyle. That's it.
You didn't get the
Lifestyle.
you didn't
You're
get the MySpace
so annoying.
joke? You didn't get the MySpace joke?
You guys, he's annoying today.
Oh,
Like all of it.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
All right, so what is it going to be? It's all going to be a mindset?
No, it's not mindset.
Okay.
It's just a lifestyle, creating a healthy lifestyle.
All right.
But we'll see.
Well, you know
I'll
I'm
show
for
it to
that.
you. We'll see how it goes. And if you want me a part of it,
If I wanna be a part of
you
it.
can absolutely be a part
Yeah.
of it.
I
But,
am actually looking forward to seeing
But the
it.
community we had this past January, February was great. Like they stuck it through.
Yeah.
I mean, not all, maybe not,
Not
all
all.
of them. But
That's part of the problem with people. Is
I
that,
mean,
yeah.
there are statistics out there. People actually fall off of any of their New Year resolutions within 2 weeks of getting into it.
Yeah.
Majority of them don't even actually ever complete it. So
It was good for us, quite frankly. So
Kept
we're
us
we're
accountable.
already I think I would say like very consistent, right? Like we're always,
Yeah.
we're always, but
But we compete.
during that
you.
time frame though, we get like into it. Like
Yeah.
we don't mess around, right?
Well, I think there's something to be said that we're holding the group, right,
Yeah.
accountable. So
Yeah.
it makes us even extra.
But we were doing the different challenges, and you're doing all sorts of weigh-ins and measurements and all this kind of stuff, and it's like everybody, and it is true. It sounds so corny, but it's like everybody's goal is really just to do better.
Yeah.
It's not like there's that old line, right? Comparison is the thief of joy. And as cliche as those things are, they're absolutely true. It's not like I'm looking at Thor and going, if I don't look like him, then this didn't work. And then I'm also not looking at the Blob and going, as long as I'm better than him, whatever. It's just like you kind of look at yourself and you say, okay, what can I do to get better? And even beyond getting better, looking better, all those kinds of things, it's like, how consistent can I be? Because it's not even about the next 2 months, the next 3 months, whatever it is, and I really believe this. It's like, what will you still be doing a year from now?
Yeah.
That's all. It's consistency.
And that's why I say it's a lifestyle. It's not like, 2 months in and that's it. No, it's the rest of your life. Like, you do. And Dan Stewart talked about this, like when he was working out with you, and how he mentioned, like, it's something I need to do every day. Like it's a healthier version of me. He said
he had to actually identify as, I'm somebody who does this. That's it. This isn't I'm going to start trying to do this. I'm going to start trying to do this, whatever. He's like, and it's so funny because he says this is a conversation he and I had. So he was coming into town, Dan Stewart from Happy Grasshopper. And I just flat out said to him, I'm like, hey, bring your workout clothes. He's like, if you're coming to hang out with me, like, that's part of what I do. Like, I'm not going to stop doing it because you're here. This is part of what I do. I don't stop eating when you're here. I don't stop, whatever. Like, we're going to go to the gym. And him and I were talking. He's like, I really got to start doing this more. I really got to whatever. And I said something to him where I was just like, it has nothing to do with starting doing this, stopping doing that, whatever. It's just who you are. Mm-hmm. You don't think to yourself, I've got to start going to bed at night. I've got to start.
Yeah.
It's
just
part
routine.
of who you are. That's it. Until you identify as somebody that wants to be around and wants the inner narrative of knowing that you're taking care of yourself and you're setting the right example for those that come after you, your children and other people and whatever, it's not negotiable. A few days ago, I had no interest in going to the gym. I said, well, I'm just going to get in the car and head that way. It might be a bad workout. I might suck at this workout.
Yeah.
It might be, but I am on my way. Like, here I go.
It's what I do.
That's
Just
it.
Get up
That's
and go.
it. Feelings are liars.
Yeah.
So
I'm excited about that.
you haven't shown me any of that yet.
No, I want it to be completed before I show.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's a lot of pressure.
So, yeah, I mean,
But you've been working on it a good amount.
yeah, I have.
Dang.
So we'll see.
Dang.
We'll see how it goes. And we'll see if I'm, like I said, confident enough to actually even show you or move forward with it.
What do you mean confident to show me? What does that even mean?
I could show you, but like to actually put it out there, we'll see. But yeah, very excited to at least like, I can't even believe that we're at the end of the year.
I know.
Like when I read your email, like it's time for a holiday party. Yeah. It's like, oh my, 6 weeks away till Christmas.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
That's just weird.
Yeah.
To think that in 2025.
Well,
But
I'm like an old prospector now. I'm about to age even more.
age even more. I turned 39 in January.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still in my 30s.
One more year, I'm going to have to turn you in. I'm going to have to trade you in for like a younger model or something. I mean, my God.
Oh my gosh.
God, you're inching towards 40.
I'm excited. I hear that 40 is like, I don't know. People are like, that's the year that you just kind of rise and shine. And
We heard that from an 85-year-old.
But I don't know. I probably heard that from someone
Yeah.
in the 40s that was like super depressed.
We
It's
heard
the
it.
time to
We
rise
heard it
and
from
shine.
the old woman from the Titanic movie.
Oh gosh.
She was like, if I could be
I don't
40
know.
again.
I feel though that I'm in my like late 20s, early 30s.
Interesting.
And I still get that. People always say like 28, 32. Like though that's usually the range. And I'll stick to that. I'll take it.
Because they see the young buck that you're with, and they're like, she must be.
Yeah. No, it's not Sean McVay, you guys. That's the young
the
buck.
older Jared.
It's the older.
It's the older,
older.
yeah, it's the original version.
Yeah.
That's right. It's the dial-up version of Sean McVay.
It's too funny. Well, what else? I have to wrap up soon. I have a meeting coming up.
I thought you wanted to talk about Amazon.
Ooh, yeah. Amazon.
Do you want to talk about it or not? When's your meeting? Your
My
meeting is
meeting's
in...
in 30 minutes.
you have time to talk about Amazon?
So I was on the plane and I was going through. I got a notification of an article.
Okay.
Who is the CEO of Amazon?
Jeff Bezos?
He sent out a letter to all of his employees saying that we're going to be doing an RTO, return to office, mandatory 5 days a week. We're going to now do that starting January 2nd.
Interesting.
And in my head, I sent it to you. I was like, is this still a thing?
I know. I was actually, when you just said that, I just thought to myself.
I was like, return to office. And I mean, people are upset about it.
Yeah.
Employees are upset. I have to go every single day.
Well, they must have
work.
a crap ton of virtual employees.
Well, they let go in 2022 27,000 employees
Jeez.
in 2022. And then they made it mandatory for their executive team, maybe exec or corporate people,
Yeah.
to be in the office at least 3 days a week.
Yeah.
So that was mandatory, and
Yeah.
they adjusted to that. And then now it's like, great, all employees have to come in now 5 days a week.
Yeah.
Who else did this? Was it Elon Musk that did this?
Elon Musk, actually a lot of companies did this,
Okay.
but as far as publicly, Elon Musk
Yeah.
came out and said this. A lot of places did it because you had the COVID years, and then everybody started saying, okay, well then, this is the new norm, this is whatever, office space isn't as necessary, and all this other kind of stuff. And then these CEOs of publicly traded companies started seeing these employees that were working 3 different jobs full time at all these places, putting in 6 hours a week and getting paid full time. And they were like, wait a second now, this doesn't work anymore. And so what you're seeing now, I did not know that about Amazon. I mean, that's he's got to have data behind him, otherwise he wouldn't be doing
and
that.
everyone's saying you're just doing this is like a beginning phase to a massive layoff. This is why you're doing
Because
this.
I don't live there, which means I'd have to give up the
Yes.
job.
And his argument is absolutely not. It's not.
We
This
want
is-
you to come work.
And
Yeah.
we are actually giving you enough, we're going to find ways for the transportation to work for you in favor of you. So if it's public transportation, if it's giving you a voucher, whatever it is, how to get to work will help accommodate that.
What do you think someone from
financially.
25 years ago would think of this conversation right now?
That's not an option. You just go to work.
Laughable. They would
Yeah.
literally be like, what do you mean there's a discussion about whether you go to work or not?
It is
Like
crazy.
literally, I want you like something, because I always, when I have these kind of convos, I always kind of like zoom out and I just go, okay, let's not get stuck in the moment. Let's just look at, someone 25 years ago would hear this conversation and be like, what are we even talking about? What do you mean they're upset they have to go to work? Like, what else would you do? Wait a second. You all hang at home all day? Like, and you're paid? Like, wow. Isn't it crazy how far the world has gone?
I know.
It's
It
really...
is so crazy. It's wild. So now you have staff that are like protesting and going against all of this.
I was going to say,
They've
have the
created-
protests started yet?
Oh my gosh. They've created, it says at least 37,000 employees have joined an internal Slack channel advocating for remote work.
The internal Slack channel owned by Amazon?
I don't know, probably. Okay, right?
God. What is
But
wrong with our
even one
world?
of them said, okay, listen, I'm quoting this. Okay, this is from a staffer. One staffer said that they were denied disability accommodations and were being told to return to the office. Another employee said they were recently told to use paid time off to take care of their sick family member instead of being allowed to work from home.
Not for nothing, when I hear that, that means you're not working
not
from
working.
home. That means you're taking care of someone at home. That's not working.
Literally, like they put that, like, why
When
would
did
you
that
do-
become like, how is that controversial? Hey, I can't come to work because I have to take care of my sick family member, so I'll just work from home. No, wait. You're not working then. You're taking care of someone. No, I'm just going to work from home. No, then just come to the office. No, but I have to take care of my sick. You're not working. But we have literally, like, we so enabled it over COVID and post-COVID that now everybody thinks that's normal.
I know. Isn't that so sad?
Crazy.
Now you think, wait, how productive are you at home?
That's
are you
right.
even working
That's
at
right.
home?
That's
You know,
right.
and I at one point was a mom. I am a mom, but like
This is news to me.
No, a single mom. Okay, and although we do live in different states,
Yeah.
I am quote unquote a single mom at home.
Yeah.
Right, but. It's even hard for me to work full time at home with 2 kids.
Yeah.
Picking them up, schools randomly calling me because Ari
Yeah.
pants got wet on the playground, all this stuff. It's like, They literally say.
But then not for nothing,
quoted.
though. You will be up at night working and doing
correct.
yeah.
This is the clock out, clock in, clock out.
Yeah, this is
system.
someone at 5
Okay,
o'clock,
this is
I'm
different.
done. Hey, I put in my 2 hours today.
But like, yeah, I'm sorry. You do have to use your sick family leave or whatever it is.
Yeah, if you're taking care of someone and you can't come to the office, then that means you're not working.
You're specifically saying that. And quite honestly, if I knew this employee and they quoted this to the actual the press, I would go to them and start questioning. Wait, how often are you taking care? How often are you logged in?
If I was there, if they were my subordinate, absolutely.
100%.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so like, good for Amazon and the CEO for saying, nope, I want you guys to work.
Well,
but the reason behind it, though, let me explain the reason behind it. And I 100% agree to this. There's a different level of creativity and innovation when you're in community.
Of course.
I agree to that. And that's what he's wanting. He's wanting the company culture dynamic to be back to what it was originally rooted as years ago when it was founded. And the only way to do it is really getting in the same room, in the same breathing space. I always tell you that. And I could sense your energy. I could see your emotion. We could talk. I could have random spare of the moment question or a conversation with you that might spark something else.
Do you remember the conversation with Amy from Remax when she went back to Remax before she was made the president? I think you were there for that conversation. She had moved back.
Lessender, yeah. Yeah,
she moved back. This is before she was made president and was running Remax, but she had told me how she moved back.
To Denver.
And went to the office and everything. And she's like, because I could tell that there was conversations and culture I was missing that weren't happening on Zoom, that were happening at the...
Absolutely.
While people were getting water and everything. And she's like, I was not a part of that.
And that's what he's wanting. And that is important as a leader to have.
Yeah.
You don't need these side Slack conversations and one-offs that are happening.
It's going to be interesting because it takes for these different companies, now that we're post-COVID, and now they start looking at their bottom line and they start looking at productivity and they start looking at all these things. People have gotten so used to a different way now that they almost have to just pull the Band-Aid.
Yeah.
They're like, no, not doing it anymore. Like
Yeah.
we're and you're going to get people who leave. You're going to get people who threaten lawsuits and it's just like...
Yeah, he's going to get it. It's inevitable. It's going to happen.
Yeah, without a doubt. And public's going to be against him. Mm-hmm. It's like, I remember that time somebody came into my office and it was when we were doing nothing but full-time at the office, and they were saying how let's go, virtual. And they quoted this survey to me about how this % of employees say virtual is the way. And I'm like, of course the employees say virtual is the way to go. Like, what do you mean?
I know.
98% of children say that they would like candy for breakfast, Well, I guess
brush
there
their
is a
teeth
study
before
that
bed.
says it. Here you
No,
go.
absolutely. They could find any study, any
But
of
my
that.
point is, of course they want
But-
that. Because there's no accountability. Like, there's no,
It'll be interesting to kind of see how it unfolds, though. He did, I think... he gave a 60-day notice. Usually it's a notice within 60 days.
Yeah.
Remember when the whole furlough happened with Bitwise?
Yeah.
There was no notice to perform.
Yeah.
You have to do it. You can't just furlough.
Yeah.
And without notice. So he did do it on time as far as notice and everything, because you have to give a reasonable time to employees, but there are most likely going to be layoffs.
Yeah.
Not because this is not to support a big, massive layoff.
By the way, a lot of companies are laying off right now, so he probably is looking for ways to lay off.
There are people on here that are saying that this mandate is not going to work for me because I live 200 miles away from the nearest office.
Then you gotta find a job closer to you then.
Yeah. And so, but he also mentions that there has been poor hiring on their part, meaning that they have a manager, and then a manager above that manager, and a manager above that manager. They have all these roles now because there's so much remote work that is unnecessary.
Oh.
So they are cutting fat in areas that...
Babe, how many years have I been talking about this?
I know. So there's just random roles out there because it's all remote, which really are not needed if we all just came back to work.
Yeah. No.
And so...
No, you have a lot of people not working 40 hours, not putting in, but they're all getting paid that way. And when an economy turns and there's inflation, it's not sustainable.
It isn't.
It was one thing when you went through COVID and the government was handing out money to companies for holding on to employees. Mm-hmm. Here's a check, here's your PPP, here's your, whatever. And it was like, I guess I can justify this. I'm keeping you around, I'm getting paid, I'm getting whatever. But once that all ends, and now it comes down to profit and loss and who's actually working, and are you? If you remember a couple years ago, I said we're going to see the right sizing of organizations.
Yeah.
Right. Because you have a lot of people who are working 7 hours a week, getting paid full time, saying that they're working full time, but their idea of what working is the idea that I'm at home taking care of my sick elderly mom, but I'm working full time.
And then the argument.
Whoa, wait a second now. People get paid just to do that. Like.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. But yeah, I mean, we'll see how this plays out and how it rolls out. It'll be interesting. He was very clear with it's not because we need to really cut costs and save, a dime here or there. He even mentioned we're projecting over $600 billion in sales.
Yeah.
This year.
Right.
But
at some point, it's poor management.
It absolutely is.
It's a poor stewardship of your company.
Yes.
Yeah.
But he really kind of wants to bring it back to it's all about the culture dynamic.
I was about to say, once you allow that,
yeah,
you stifle innovation or culture or anything, because once people come into that situation, they see that they're allowed to do that.
It's what I told you about Apple a while ago.
Yeah.
When you're in an Apple community with corporate or even in their Apple stores, and you're an employee there, you sign that anything that comes to fruition or idea or a thought or whatever is owned by Apple, because they truly believe in the culture dynamic is what brings innovation to you. And it's true with Amazon, and that's what he's saying. So Andy, good for you. I'll be watching, see how this plays out.
I make
We'll
you
see.
guys sign a similar thing. Anybody who walks through that door, while you're here, any growth in your stocks or mutual funds or IRA, it is my growth.
It is your growth.
That's what I make everyone sign when they walk in the door.
You grew up because of me.
Yes. While you're here, it's because you were here. Okay, so now if it goes down,
it's all you.
Hey, okay, do better. Do better. Okay, that's it.
Anything else from you? What do you think about this whole settlement with NAR? What do you think next steps are going to happen?
I think it's so the judge just approved 9 different individual settlements with different companies and approved them very easily. Basically said, this is the best you're going to do. It's good to go, whatever. So if that continues to happen, then I think the NAR settlement's going to get settled. We also have a whole other thing we haven't discussed here.
What is that?
Which we're not going to do right now, but we're going to have a new DOJ.
Oh, yeah.
I've been saying it all along when people are like, what's going to happen? The DOJ, the this, the that. And I'm like, and I said all along, I didn't think it was going to happen. I legitimately thought months ago that, at the time it was Biden, then it was Kamala. I'm like, I think they're probably going to, based on what I was seeing with polls and everything, I'm like, they're probably going to stay in charge, which means we're going to have a problem as an industry, because that means it's the same DOJ who does not like our industry. But I said, if it was a new DOJ, they take up different causes. They might do something else dumb, but they generally don't pick up the old causes of the old administration, We have a change in administration now, which means a change in the DOJ. How's that affect our...
Does that take effect in January, right?
Yeah. How's that affect our industry? Because at least last time, who knows, be someone different this time, they were pro-real estate. So they might come in and all this nonsense be like, that's all nonsense, So that's going to be interesting. That's probably a whole other topic for a whole other day, And again, I don't care what side you're on. I don't care if you're left, right, you're pro-Biden, Kamala, period, exclamation point, whatever. I don't care. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying a change in administration means a change in the personnel. So that means a change in direction. What does that mean? That's a conversation for another day. That's yet to be seen. I would love to have seen that kind of stuff asked of the president-elect and such, Have you seen the stuff going on in real estate? What do you think about your DOJ when it comes to that? Whatever. But I think it's going to get approved. And then as far as moving forward, the whole point was the pressure coming from the DOJ on the outside. How does that change? I'm going to be doing a conversation coming up with Kevin Sears, the president of NAR. He and I had a conversation the other day. He called me while I was brushing my teeth, getting ready for an event. And he was having his final meeting with the DOJ on October 31st. And he's like, when I'm done with that meeting, I want to come talk to you, and I want to talk to your audience and be on your podcast and talk about what's really been going on behind the scenes. So actually, I got to call him and set that up. But that's going to be interesting now. We'll see what that means.
Yeah.
So, anything else?
Nope.
Any
That's all
final
I got.
thoughts?
Tom, do you have anything? Teddy, anything?
Good.
Tom, you got like the red and yellow going. What you gonna do, brother?
No, this is
Red
LA
and
Night.
yellow.
What you gonna do
Sort of the replacement.
when Hulkamania
Yeah.
runs wild? Were you a Hulk guy?
Not a Hulk guy.
It's probably before your time.
Yeah. I do like Stone Cold though.
Yeah, so that was
That's still
after that was
I like,
after
I
my
like
time.
Stone Cold Stone.
It's after my time. She's like the creamery.
Creamery,
Cold
right?
Stone Creamery?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Also great.
She's got him in a headlock. Anyway, all right. I think that's it. You good?
Yeah.
You gonna tell me I'm annoying?
You're not annoying. You're beautiful. And you've just been great.
You've been great.
You've been great.
You're beautiful.
He's not annoying, you guys. Don't unfollow him. We're great. Thanks for sticking with us. It was a rough one.
All right, guys. We love you guys. Life will move on.
We're good.
That's our message to you guys. Life will
Yeah.
move on, both now and in 4 years from now and 8 years from now.
Enjoy the holiday season.
Well, we'll talk to him before that.
You hope so.
Yeah, we'll talk to you guys before that. Next time we see this place, it'll probably have Christmas stuff all over the place.
And children.
Children.
Yeah.
Elves, we call them.
Maybe we could bring our kids on the podcast. Say hi. Noah, Grayson, Ari, and Ty. They'll all be in the same room.
Maybe.
Maybe that means no.
That was a
So sad.
pass. If I've
Thank
ever
you,
heard one.
everyone.
All right, everybody. We'll talk to you.
Okay,
See ya.
Have a
bye.
good one.